So we have discussed what is tunnel effect. It is a phenomena which is happening when this condition is satisfied, E less than or V. E less than V. Kinetic energy of the incident particle is less than the potential it is facing. So most of the particles are reflected as classical physics says, but some particles are very small number of particles are transmitted across the barrier, which is known as tunneling effect. This is because the Schrodinger equation, when you solve, it has solution in all the three regions. Okay, so the solutions are like this. Psi1 is a into e to the power of I k1 x, b e to the power of minus I k1 x. So this a term and b term are identified as the incident and the reflected term. So this is the a term, incident term, e to the power of plus, and e to the power of minus is the left going particles. This is right going particles. E to the power of plus is right going. E to the power of minus is left going. So accordingly, A and B are the amplitudes, or the maximum amplitude means the maximum number of this quantity. The maximum value of this quantity is the amplitude, A, normalization factor. Okay. So A is the amplitude of the maximum value of the particles incident. B is the maximum number of amplitude. If it is a wave, that is the amplitude of the wave, or if it is in a particle, you can take it as the maximum number. Okay, so A, suppose this is a wave, then A is the amplitude, B is the amplitude of the reflected waves. Then on the final region, and in the second region, it is C and D are the coefficients, and in the final region it is F and G, but G goes zero. There is no reflection, only transmission. So we have to take psi3 equal to F into e to the power I k1x. Only right going going to the right side, transmitted wave. So F is the amplitude of the transmitted wave. Okay. Now let us define. I think the idea is clear. Solutions are clear. Okay. Now we can define some quantities which are important in quantum mechanical tunneling, reflected and transmitted coefficients. Especially that is transmitted is very important because we want to know how much is transmitted across a barrier, which is classically forbidden. Classically 100% reflection, but quantum mechanically 99 point reflection, 99.9% reflection, and 0.1 transmission. So how much is transmitted, that is important. Am I audible and my screen is visible? So Juliet is saying screen is not visible. For others, what is the condition? Others, please respond. Naveen. Daniel says Kanam. Okay, so maybe problem with the Juliet. Nothing is wrong with here. So let me continue. You can see the video later in the YouTube. Okay. So these are amplitudes. A, B, A is the incident amplitude. Incident amplitude. And B is the reflected amplitude. And C and D are there, then F is the transmitted amplitude. Okay, so these are the three important amplitudes. Incident, A incident, B reflected, F transmitted. So that is clear from this equation. See, A is the incident, B is the reflected, both are in the same region 1, and psi 3, F is the transmitted amplitude in the region 3. So that when the particle is in the region 3, that means it is completely transmitted. So amplitude is F. Okay. Now we know that intensity is, what is intensity? Intensity is proportional to amplitude square. Intensity is proportional to square of the amplitude. Okay. So what is the intensity here? Incident intensity is intensity. What is the intensity? Incident intensity A square, or we can say it is A star A or modulus A square. Okay, for A star A, because that can be complex, we don't know. So B is reflected intensity is modulus B square, which is B star B, and transmitted intensity is modulus F square, which is F star F. Okay. Now we can define a coefficient. So what is the reflection coefficient? It represents how much portion is reflected. Okay, so that is reflected beam intensity divided by incident intensity. Reflected beam intensity divided by incident intensity is the reflection coefficient. So you may get some 99.9 like that. So this is nothing but, you can call it as R. Okay, let us call it as R. Then reflected beam intensity is B star B. So modulus B square divided by modulus A square. Okay. Now transmission coefficient. Equal to transmitted beam intensity divided by incident intensity. Okay. Transmitted intensity divided by incident intensity. So that is, what is transmitted intensity? That is F. So modulus F square divided by incident intensity is same as modulus A square. Okay. Now this you can call it as T. Transmission coefficient is T. And you can safely say that R plus T is, what is R plus T? So particle comes and 99.9 reflected, 0.1 or 0.01 percentage transmitted. So that their sum will be 1. You can safely say that R plus T is 1. That implies 100%. No particles are trapped in anywhere, because if any particle stays somewhere, that is violation of equation of continuity. So no particles can hang any at point. Either it should reflect or it should transmit. So nothing can stay anywhere inside of the tunnel or somewhere like that. So we can say that R plus what T is 100%, 1. Okay, so if this is 0.99, this is 0.01, 0.01. Example is, if this is 0.99, 99, then t is 0.01. So 99% is reflected, 1% is transmitted, like that. So sum is 100%. Okay. Now for this t, transmission coefficient t, you can have an expression for that. Okay. Now what to do is we have to how to proceed to find the expression for transmission coefficients. I will tell. Now how you can proceed is see these equations, psi1 and psi2 and psi3. Okay. Now how to apply the admissibility conditions or wave functions, well behaved wave function, is that one thing you can do is you can this psi1 is in this region, first region, and psi2 is in this region. Okay. So you one thing you can do is you can equate psi1 and psi2 at the boundary. Not actually equating, you can match. See, wave function coming from this side and wave function going into this region, they should match at the boundaries. There should not be any discontinuity, so that it is a continuous thing. So you can match the wave function at both sides of this boundary as well as this boundary. You can match psi2 and psi3 at the second boundary. This you can do mathematically. Okay. You can match these two expressions at the boundaries. Also these two expressions at the second boundary. Is that clear? Also one more thing you can do is that the first derivative of these wave functions, that also should be continuous. You take the derivative of these equations, wave functions, and match at the boundaries, both the boundaries, because slopes are also should be continuous, single valued, continuous, no discontinuity for the wave function as well as its derivative. That is the well-behaved wave function or acceptability conditions. So next thing you have to do is actually we are not doing. I am simply giving an idea. That is why you just listen. We are not doing it mathematically, but if you are interested, anybody is interested, you can work it out. That is what I am saying. Okay. So you can match the wave functions and its derivative at the boundaries, both the boundaries. Then you will get some equations by matching the wave functions. Okay. So the same thing we can do in the potential well also. That also we did in നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ വെല്ലിന്റെ കേസിലും ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ ചെയ്യാം. വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷനെയും അതിന്റെ ഡെറിവേറ്റീവിനെയും നമുക്ക് ബൗണ്ടറീസിൽ മാച്ച് ചെയ്യണം, വേണ്ടേ? ഇവിടെ ഒരു വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷൻ വരും, ഇവിടെ വ്യത്യസ്തമായ ഒരു വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷൻ ആയിരിക്കില്ല. ഉള്ളിൽ കടന്നാലാവും, പക്ഷെ ബൗണ്ടറിയിൽ ദേ ഷുഡ് മാച്ച്. ഇസ് ദ ഐഡിയ ക്ലിയർ? രണ്ട് ബൗണ്ടറിയാണ് നമുക്കുള്ളത്. റീജിയനെ സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന രണ്ട് ബൗണ്ടറിയാണ് നമുക്കുള്ളത്. ഇതൊരു ബൗണ്ടറി, ഇത് സെക്കൻഡ് ബൗണ്ടറി. പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ വെല്ലിൽ ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ രണ്ട് ബൗണ്ടറി ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ബൗണ്ടറീസിന്റെ അപ്പുറം അപ്പുറം തൊട്ടപ്പുറം അപ്പുറം വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷൻസ് മാച്ച് ചെയ്യണം. വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷൻ മാത്രമല്ല, അതിന്റെ ഡെറിവേറ്റീവ് മാച്ച് ചെയ്യണം. മനസ്സിലായോ? ഈ ഐഡിയ മനസ്സിൽ ഉറപ്പിച്ച് വെച്ചോളൂ. ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, പക്ഷെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് പിന്നീട് ഒക്കെ ആവശ്യം വരും. പോസ്റ്റ് ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അത് ചിലപ്പോൾ ആവശ്യം വരും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ IIT എക്സാമിനൊക്കെ എഴുതുമ്പോൾ അവർ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കും. ഓക്കെ. അതിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് ചില ഐഡിയാസ് ഒക്കെ കിട്ടും. അതെന്താ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത്, വേവ് ഫംഗ്ഷനും അതിന്റെ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഡെറിവേറ്റീവും രണ്ട് ബൗണ്ടറീസിലും മാച്ച് ചെയ്യണം. അതിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഈ എ കോഎഫിഷ്യൻസ് തമ്മിലുള്ള റിലേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ കിട്ടും. എയും ബിയും അതുപോലെ സിയും ഡി ആയിട്ട് എന്താ റിലേഷൻ, അതുപോലെ സിയും ഡിയും എഫ് ആയിട്ട് എന്താ റിലേഷൻ, അതൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടും. ഓക്കെ, സോ യൂസിങ് ദാറ്റ് റിലേഷൻ, അപ്പൊ ഇത് പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ വാല്യൂലും ചെയ്യാട്ടോ, നമ്മൾ അവിടെയും ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ അത് അത്രയ്ക്ക് ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് ആയിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ പോകേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. സോ യു ക്യാൻ സ്കിപ്പ് all those. Anybody interested in more doing some mathematics, they can work it out, or I can help you. Okay, if anybody is interested, I can help. Okay, now this if you do that matching the wave functions, they are known as boundary conditions. Apply boundary conditions. So I will write simply apply boundary conditions. You will get an expression for t which is very easy to remember. That is an approximate formula, e to the power of minus 2kl. Transmission coefficient is e to the power of minus 2kl. Okay, what is L? L is the width of the barrier. L is the width of the barrier. And what is K? K is actually the expression for K square is root of, sorry, there is no root. K equal to root of 2m by h cross square into v minus e. This is the K. K equal to root of 2m by h cross square into v minus e. So what is K? K is actually a measure of v. What is v? V is the height of the barrier. Okay, so this tunneling coefficient depends on length and width of the barrier. Sorry, height and width of the barrier. Okay, so v is actually a measure of height, so K is actually a measure of height. E is the energy of the incident particle. Okay, that you can change. You can have different values for incident energy. You can accelerate particles and let it incident on the barrier. That you can change. Okay, so once you apply, that is a constant. Once the experiment is started, E is a constant. Okay, in between, after that, sometime you can change it with another value of E, no problem. So V is actually a measure of height. So this expression T depends on K and L, height and width of the barrier. So from this, what is our assumption? What is the inference? If the L increases, what happens? This is minus, so 1 by e to the power of L, that increases. If L increases, e to the power of L increases. Okay, so 1 by e to the power of L decreases. So that is the inference. As L increases, or I can say the width of the barrier increases, T decreases. That is natural. If the width of the barrier is too much, very less chance for transmission. Similarly for K also, height V, or you can say K is a measure of V, increases, then also same thing happens, T decreases. These are the matching results with classical ideas. If you have a big barrier, very difficult to go across. Okay, so this expression, if you want, you can derive, but I am not doing that. But simply remember, we can do some problems with this expression. T equal to e to the power of minus 2kl. Next, we have to do some problems that I will do later. Now I will move on to some other topic. That is, there is a experimental device based on quantum mechanical tunneling. Okay. So, actually, is there any probability for the lion to come up out of the zoo? See, this for the lion, this mass m is a very large number. If m increases, then also k increases. That means t decreases. So, what classical people told is true. If the particle is having a very high mass, it will not come out of the zoo. Okay. But dangerous happens when m is very small, v is small, like that. Okay. So, depending upon these parameters, you can evaluate the probability of anything, either lion or electron or anything come out of a barrier, out of a wall. Wall is a barrier, normally classical, but this tunneling is actually, it is like a penetrating the barrier. You cannot jump over the barrier, but it is a kind of tunneling. It is kind of penetrating through the barrier, not jumping over the barrier, but is kind of it needs some idea to have more explanation about the quantum mechanical tunneling. Okay. Now I will explain, I will do some problems later. Now you please listen to some of the experimental device which is based on quantum mechanical tunneling. It is scanning tunneling microscope. Scanning tunneling microscope. So everybody know what is a microscope, especially zoology people. They always use microscope to magnify small things and watch it. Okay. We also need microscopes. And what is so it can magnify things, very small things to a reasonable level. So you can, that is a microscope. Okay. So we are mainly using telescopes and sometimes we use microscope also in our some of the experiments. Okay. But this microscope is a very large resolving power. Okay. So that even you can watch the atoms or molecules level. I think everybody knows that the atoms and molecules are very small. But this using this scanning tunneling microscope, you can scan the surfaces of some many things in an atomic level or a molecular level. You can scan the surfaces. You can actually see the surface. Okay. And going to the history, this was invented in 1986, not too far away. It's very recent discovery, and it got Nobel Prize in 1896. So discovery maybe some years previous to this, Nobel Prize is awarded in 1986. So the two people from Zurich, Gerd Binning and Heinrich Rohrer, okay, from Zurich. They were the discoverers of this scanning tunneling microscope, okay, and they shared the Nobel Prize for that. And its resolution is almost in the Resolution means the resolving power, how much it can resolve very small, minute things. So it is zero point 0.1 nanometer, almost in the atomic level. Lateral resolution. Lateral means sideways, you can. And 0.01 nanometer depth resolution. So this much height, this much length, it can go deep into the surface. 0.1 nanometer is the lateral resolution. The things you can separate, even they are zero point 0.1 nanometer separated actually. These are atomic level distances. Nano means 10 to the power of -9. So these are all atomic level resolutions. Okay. And one of the advantages that it can be used in vacuum, also in air, and at various other liquid, this can be used. So the advantage is that this can be used that this does not need any favorable conditions. You can use in vacuum, VACUUM. Okay, W, VAC, one C and W, vacuum. Okay, so this can be used in either vacuum or in even in air or in liquid also. So this is a very useful device because it can be used at many places. Not only always many high-end sophisticated instruments need ultra high vacuum. Okay, all other things all other things will disturb the measurements. But this is far fairly more disturbance free even in air or liquid. In between medium, you can use air or liquid or gas, any other gas. Also this temperature can be, this can be used at different temperatures like 0 Kelvin to 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, up to boiling water you can use, no problem. Even the sample is in this situated in this range or is situated in this media, you can use STM. Okay, so now STM is a very costly device. So if you go any higher level research, you have to get help from measurement using STM. In Kerala, we have some at two places we have STM. One is at Cochin University and one is at Trivandrum Regional Research Laboratory. At the two places we have STM. Okay, so research people always say the short form STM, like that. So you have to understand it is scanning tunneling microscope based on quantum mechanical tunneling. It is an experimental device by which you can clearly scan the surface of the element, any materials surface. You can see whether surface is rough or surface is very polished, or somehow the atoms are situated, some molecules are situated like that. See, you can actually see the magnified image of the surface. Okay, from that you will get many idea about the materials you have manufactured during your research. So research people are more frequently needed this STM measurements. Okay, so let me take the attendance. Just 1 minute on maybe this. Okay, Now let us describe what are the structure of this scanning tunneling microscope. So we will explain it one by one. Now principle is that when it has a scanning tip, I will explain the components one by one. Scanning tip, the cost is very high, crores, it will come in Indian rupee crores. So that is why it is only at two places. Very sophisticated instrument. You have to keep lot of things perfect to get the best readings from STM. Okay, so the main thing is a scanning tip. So I will draw that. So you have a scanning tip here. This is the tip. Okay, usually this tip is made of tungsten or platinum iridium alloy. So this is split. The making of this tip itself is very complicated procedure, because at this tip you need the size of an atom. It is just like you are sharpening your pencils. It is not so easy, because tip should have a single atom like that. Okay, so either you can use make this mechanical etching, mechanical shearing, or using electrochemical etching. So do the etching process. I don't know whether you know this etching, chemical etching process. So by etching process you can make a very fine tip. Okay, and this is a conducting tip. This is tungsten or platinum iridium. They are metals, so this is a conducting tip. And conducting tip, this tip is actually supported by some piezoelectric tubes. These are piezoelectric tube. What is piezoelectricity? Piezoelectricity, piezoelectricity means you take the quartz crystal, you compress it from both the sides. So on the opposite sides, some charges are developed. I think you know that piezoelectricity. Okay, you take quartz crystal, a cube like a rectangular shaped quartz crystal, then you press on one side. Small charges are produced on the opposite charges. Plus and minus charges are produced on the opposite sides of the quartz crystal. That is piezoelectricity. It is a reversible process. It is reversible, so that if you, I will explain. Suppose this is the quartz crystal, then you compress on both the sides. So you can see that positive charge and negative charges are developed on the other side of the crystal. Okay, which is known as piezoelectric effect. Now this is a reversible process, so that you can apply the voltage on these sides or on this side, apply voltage on these sides. So you can see that the piezo gets compressed or extended on the other lateral side. Okay, so that's such a piezo. Even some of the speaker you buy, you have some piezo, some buzzer. You might have seen some buzzer in motorbikes, then indicators. are turned on, they will be p like that. These are piezoelectric buses. They are pieces. Okay. So use a piezoelectric crystal here so that when you can apply voltage, and so that this tip can be moved little, very little forward or in the backward direction. I am speaking all about atomic levels. Okay, nanometer levels movement. Don't think that it is centimeter or millimeter. All the movements are in the nanometer level. So this tip you have to keep near to the surface. You have to move slightly atomic level. So use a piezoelectric crystal here. Apply voltage. So either it will be move up or it will move down. Okay. So two things. So scanning tip is one thing. Another is piezoelectric tube. So I have discussed the two components of STM, and the remaining things I will continue in the next class. Okay. There are some more components, very sophisticated instrument, very costly also. You need a lot of training to work this STM. So usually research people does not have this that much experience. So some expert person will be there to operate this machine. Not everybody can operate. So either you have to simply give your samples there, then they will take and some give some money so that they will take readings and give you back the readings. You will not be allowed to operate it, but simply you will get the advantage of STM, because Kerala is also having STM at two places. So that will be helpful for your research. Okay, bye.